Hello and welcome back to Whispers of Turkish Stars. It's always a pleasure to have you with us, because today we're diving into a story that blends intrigue, affection, and that quiet kind of mystery that keeps fans whispering long after the cameras stop rolling. Today's topic is Alina and Alp, the secret she loved. Even saying it out loud feels like opening a door to a room filled with soft light, private laughter, and 1,000 unspoken moments. Stay close, because we're going to unpack what that could mean, why it still echoes for those who followed their every step, and how a private truth can shape a public fairy tale. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed and notifications are on, because this corner is where we meet every week to talk about the moments that make stardom feel personal. When you say their names together, Alina Boz and Alp Navruz, a certain hush falls over the room. Not because it's scandalous, but because people instinctively lean in, sensing something delicate lies there. A secret loved by her. Is it a page from a script that bled into real life, a promise made between takes, or a lesson learned when the world wasn't watching? We're going to explore the possibilities, trace the outlines, and most importantly, try to understand why this supposed secret resonated so deeply for Alina. Let's start with what the audience first saw: chemistry. On a set, under the impossible brightness of studio lights, some pairings just click. You can't program it, you can't purchase it, you can only recognize it when it happens. And when Alina and Alp found their rhythm, it felt like a melody you couldn't get out of your head. The glances, the silences that spoke, the way a smile could alter the direction of a scene. Many still remember how that electricity made Sensei Cal Cap lift off the page and into something people clung to at the end of long days. If there is a secret here, perhaps it's the recipe for that spark, the careful balance of vulnerability and play, the dance of timing, and the mutual trust that let them improvise with the truth of their characters. Think about Ida and Serkan, names that now live in the background hum of modern romance. On paper, they were opposites meant to clash. On screen, they became two halves of a story that kept unfolding. Ida's bright stubbornness found steady grounding in Serkan's disciplined heart, and the tension between them struck like flint. With Alina as Ida and Alp as Serkan, that interplay felt both polished and spontaneous. The friction was tender. The teasing had weight. If Alina treasured a secret, it might have been that exact sensation. The freedom to explore Ida in all her colors because Alp's presence gave her somewhere safe to land. He brought a steadiness, she brought a breeze, and together they built a weather system that swept everyone up. Of course, we all know the line between fiction and reality is delicate. Cameras cut, doors close, and the air still hums with what the scene left behind. Fans don't just watch a couple on screen, they start to hope for an echo of that warmth off it, too. That's when the whispers began. A secret, but a beautiful one. Maybe nothing grand or headline ready, just a real friendship rising quietly behind the scenes. You've seen the way long days on set create a kind of family, how shared jokes become lifelines, and how two people can measure time by lunches taken together and scenes conquered. Perhaps the secret Alina held dear was the certainty that in the eye of a public storm, she had a confidant who understood the language of long hours, notes crammed into scripts, and the need for quiet at the end of a performance. Sometimes the most meaningful secrets are small and precise. A repeated line that made them laugh when no one else remembered why. A ritual before difficult scenes, hands warmed around a mug of tea, a quick check-in, a smile that said, "I've got you." Maybe there was a conversation one night, after a day that asked more of her than it should have, when Alp listened without trying to fix anything. Or a gesture during a tough period, a simple presence that carried her through without any demand for acknowledgement. These are the treasures that can't live on a press tour schedule. If Alina loved a secret, it may have been one of these intimate threads that held everything together when the tapestry threatened to fray. It's also impossible to ignore how much this partnership mattered professionally. No matter how quietly you carry your private joys, the work will still show what's inside you. Alina and Alp became a benchmark for many young performers, not because they were loud about it, but because the work itself glowed. She may have watched his preparation with a sort of quiet admiration, the way he arrived knowing when to pull back, when to risk more, how to treat each scene like a living thing. And he could have learned from her brightness, her instinctive timing, that curious tilt of her head that suggested Ida was thinking faster than she was speaking. Together, they sharpened each other, like two instruments tuned in the same room. If there's a professional secret she cherished, it might be that steady exchange: you give me your focus, I'll give you my fearlessness. There's another path this secret could take, one that fans love to speculate about. Sometimes, in the hush between projects, a shared idea takes root. A promise to return with something new, sealed with the thrill of keeping it close until the world is ready. Imagine them plotting in a corner of the set, sketching a future collaboration on napkins and in notes, their eyes dancing with the fun of planning a surprise. Maybe the secret Alina loved was anticipation itself. The knowledge that there was more to come, that the two of them had found a way to keep the conversation going, to build a bridge from what they'd done into what they were daring to dream. But the secret might be even more practical and, in its way, even more precious. Fame is a beautiful storm, it gives and it takes, and it never sleeps. The schedules, the judgment, the way every gesture is magnified until even breathing feels like a decision. Having someone who understands that pressure changes everything. What if their secret was a quiet strategy to stay sane in a world that runs on noise? Maybe it was the agreement to protect certain corners of their lives, to turn phones face down, to retreat when the roar grew too loud. Maybe they used humor as a shield, or set rules about how to handle speculation: never cruel, always careful, always together. If Alina loved that secret, it would be because it gave her back a piece of herself when the spotlight threatened to take it. Let's not forget the simplest explanation, the one that often proves truest. Long productions create their own universe. Days stretch until they feel like years. Jokes become landmarks, and a single shared glance can hold more meaning than a paragraph of dialogue. In that world, people find one another in unexpected ways. If Alina and Alp discovered a connection that defied titles, something kinder than a headline, deeper than a rumor, it would make sense that she held it close. A bond like that doesn't need a name to be real. It merely needs time, attention, and care. And while the fans imagine grand gestures, life often offers smaller ones that matter more. Think of the ordinary rituals that make extraordinary lives bearable. Early call times softened by the smell of coffee, sunsets watched in silence after a day that demanded everything, a shared playlist playing softly between scenes. It's easy to picture Alina and Alp choosing to step outside for a breath of air when the studio felt too tight, or laughing over a spilled drink that somehow became a lucky sign. This is how people remain human in a world that can turn them into images. If there was a secret here, it may have been a collection of those moments that kept them grounded. All of this returns us to the phrase that frames our story: the secret she loved. The words themselves hint at joy, not shame, at something she wanted to protect because it fed her spirit. That matters. It suggests the secret isn't a burden, but a blessing. It might be the knowledge that their on-screen alchemy was born from respect and kindness, not accident. Or the memory of a night when the work felt easy because they were in sync and nothing else could touch them. Or the quiet certainty that, no matter what came after, the time they shared would always be golden. The beauty of this narrative is that it invites us to think about the forces that shape us. When two talented people meet at the right moment, what happens is bigger than ratings or trending clips. It's the way they become more themselves in each other's company. With Alina and Alp, that felt true on screen and, by the look in their eyes, off it as well. The secret, however it's defined, helped her breathe easier, stand taller, and savor the ride. And maybe that's the final piece. Perhaps the secret was simply that they knew how to stop when the world wanted them to keep running. To close the door, cook something simple, share a story they'd never told anyone, and remember who they were before the cameras rolled. Shared hobbies, quiet walks, laughter that doesn't need an audience. If you ask me, a secret like that is worth treasuring. It's the kind of sweetness that never looks dramatic from the outside, but quietly changes everything. So we've looked at their on-screen rhythm as Ida and Sirkin, the magnetic glow of Sensei Calcap, the private language that grows between partners who truly listen, the way careers can lift and evolve when two people challenge each other to be brave. We've considered the thrill of future plans whispered between cues, the strategy that keeps fame from swallowing the heart, and the possibility of a bond that resists labels but never lacks meaning. Each path leads to the same conclusion: whatever the secret Alina loved turned out to be, it gave her joy. It shaped a season of her life in a way she'll never forget. Now it's your turn. Tell me what you think that secret could be. Was it the perfect balance of trust that made every scene sing? A shared promise tucked away for a rainy day? A ritual that made work feel like play? I want to hear your theories, your hunches, the scenes you rewatch because you can almost see the truth shimmering under the surface. Leave a comment and let's talk about it, because our conversations here are half the magic of this channel. If today's story moved you, if it stirred a memory or sparked a new way of seeing them, don't forget to tap like. It helps more than you can imagine and tells us to keep bringing you the moments you love. Share this video with a friend who still replays those scenes, still quotes those lines, still believes in the kind of chemistry that can't be faked. And of course, if you're new here or just haven't gotten around to it, subscribe to Whispers of Turkish Stars and turn on notifications so you won't miss what's coming next. Thank you for spending this time with me, for leaning in close to a story that asks to be told softly. Until the next video, take care, and keep listening for the secrets that make the brightest lights feel warm.